Hello all, and welcome back to Time to Dice Character Creation, where we make your favorite fictional characters in Pathfinder and Starfinder 2nd Edition. Today we're creating Cyclops, the leader of the X-Men, as well as their resident Boy Scout. With the ability to fire concussive blasts from his eyes, Cyclops is one of the most recognizable Marvel characters, even if he often falls just short of being anyone's favorite hero. So beware of spoilers, and without further ado, let's get started. So, what do we need to make the first X-Men? Well, his mutant power is shooting concussive blasts from his face. Yes, I know, they're concussive blasts, not lasers. And yes, I know the blasts used to come from a place called the Punch Dimension, though that's been retconned away recently in favor of Scott just absorbing ambient energy, like sunlight, and metabolizing it into beams of conclusive force. But take away the unlimited power blasting from your face, and you still have a pretty solid fighter on your hands. So we need to make sure Scotty can throw a punch too. And finally, if you're going to lead a team, we need to make sure the team will actually listen to you. Or at least, everyone except Logan. That seems like a tall order. Having a mutant gene doesn't make you any less human, despite what some of the worst of humanity might say about the subject. So we'll be playing a human character, which gives us 8 starting hit points, medium size, and an ability boost to dexterity and intelligence, as well as a 25-foot movement speed. For our Ancestry, you guessed it, we're going to pick Versatile Heritage to get the adopted Ancestry feat for free, letting us choose Ancestry feat from both the human and Leshy lists. You know, from all the time Scott spent among the plant people. Okay, that was meant as a joke, but let's be honest. This is Marvel Comics. There's a high likelihood something like that actually happened at some point. When you sign up to be in the X-Men, you're basically always acting as a representative for all of mutant kind to the public. For that reason, we're going to pick the emissary background. This gives us a boost to both charisma and dexterity, as well as training in society and city lore of our choice. We'll go with Salem Center. That's where Xavier's school was located, for all you non-comic fans out there. Finally, we get multilingual, letting us add Russian and Mandarin Chinese to our vocabulary. We'll kick this build off as a monk. I don't think a giant blast of concussive force from my face counts as a weapon, and Scott is a bit too one-note to be a spellcaster, so that leaves us with unarmed attacks. As a monk, we only get training and perception. Turns out those ruby quartz glasses don't give you perfect 20/20 vision. But we do get expert proficiency in all saving throws and unarmored defense. Scott has faced everything from the Master of Magnetism to the God of Thunder, and lives to tell the tale. For our skills, countless simulations in the Danger Room have given us training in athletics and acrobatics. We also get diplomacy for being the perfect public-facing mutant, intimidation for leveraging others' distrust, medicine for basic first aid, and occultism to handle the X-Men's more than out-of-this-world threats. And finally, of course, we get training in unarmed attacks. Moving on to our attributes, strength is a +1. Scott is in shape, but is far from his claim to fame. Dexterity is a +4. We'd like all our super optic blasts to actually hit. Constitution's a +0. Leaves tanking hits to Colossus. Intelligence is a +2. Scott has worked as a teacher and is really good at calculating bank shots. Wisdom's a +0. Sometimes too rigid to see the bigger picture. And finally, charisma is a +2. Being a good leader means being a likable guy. At least usually. Monks get 2 features right out of the gate. Flurry of Blows lets us make 2 unarmed strikes with 1 action. Those strikes use our normal multiple attack penalty, and if we make them against the same target, we can bind the damage before applying weaknesses and resistances. Powerful Fist upgrades our fist damage from D4s to D6s, and lets us ignore the non-lethal trait when making a fist strike. Pretty good if you want to do as much damage with your fist as with a sword, but I'm guessing you didn't come to a how to build Cyclops video to punch things. You want the laser. We picked that up right away with the Ancestry feat Seed Pod, which lets us make a ranged unarmed attack dealing 1d4 bludgeoning damage with a 30-foot range increment. This obviously needs some reflavoring to feel like a concussive blast, but mechanically it's all there. We even get to impose a minus 10-foot circumstance penalty on a target speed until the start of our next turn if we crit, because you know, the blast just shattered their legs. Technically, we could reflavor this as an energy beam by using automaton rather than Leshy, but that would deal fire damage instead of bludgeoning, which is a bigger leap than we want to make. Another issue is the damage dice. You can't be alpha level mutant with a measly D4. To fix that, we'll pick up key spells to get the Inner Upheaval Focus spell, which lets us make an unarmed strike or flurry of blows with a +1 status bonus to attack rolls and extra scaling force damage to a hit. At 2nd level, we get Stunning Blows. If we hit the same target with both strikes of our flurry, we can force a Fortitude save. On a failure, the target is stunned 1, or stunned 3 on a critical failure. Stunned is one of the best conditions in the game, and with a 30-foot range increment, we can stun a creature while staying far enough away that it would take both the remaining actions just to reach us, then stride away and flurry again, still leaving an action to do whatever we want. The no calls for alarm skill feat lets us make a diplomacy check against everyone within a 10-foot emanation. On a success, we reduce the target's frightened value by 1, or 2 on a critical success. Perfect for quelling either unjustified mutant panic or the completely justified panic that comes from Magneto throwing cars around. 3rd level monks get Mystic Strikes, making our unarmed attacks magical. Technically, magic in the Marvel Universe is a bit different, but from any practical perspective, mutants are basically magic. We also get incredible movement, adding a 10-foot status bonus to our speed that scales as we level up. Just look the opposite direction of where you want to go and let the recoil from your blast do the heavy lifting. Finally, Toughness gives us extra hit points equal to our level and reduces the DC of any recovery checks by 1. Scott may not have super durability, but he's far from the squishiest member of the team. At level 4, we'll pick up some leadership skills with Commander Dedication, giving us a 30-foot Commander's Aura. It doesn't do much mechanically by itself, but it acts as the range for our tactics. Speaking of tactics, we get 2 tactics to add to our portfolio, one of which we can prepare each day during our daily preparations. Gather to Me signals each of our squad mates to stride as a reaction, ending the stride either in your aura or as close as possible. Plus, it's the perfect opportunity to shout, "To me, my X-Men!" Our second tactic is Tactical Takedown. For a more offensive approach, signal 2 allies to stride up to half their speed as a reaction. If both end adjacent to an enemy, that enemy must make a reflex save or fall prone. All our training in the Danger Room gives us the Rapid Mantle skill feat. When we grab an edge, we can immediately pull ourselves onto the surface and stand, and we can use athletics in the place of a reflex save if needed. If we climb or leap within 5 feet of the top of an edge, we can pull ourselves up and stand as part of that same action. 5th level monks get Perception Expertise and Expert Strikes, letting us spot threats and take them out more effectively. We'll supplement this with the Clever Improviser Ancestry feat, letting us add our level -1 to skill checks we're untrained in, increasing to our full level at level 7. At level 6, we upgrade our beams with 1-inch punch, channeling every ounce of strength into a single devastating strike. When we make an unarmed strike with this technique, we can spend 2 actions to add 1 extra die of weapon damage on a hit, or 3 actions to add 2 extra dice. At 10th level, the bonus damage doubles, 2 dice for 2 actions, 4 for 3, and by 18th level, it triples, 3 dice for 2 actions, or 6 for 3. We're taking this for bigger beams, but I guess it could also make our punches stronger too. We'll also pick up Titan Wrestler, letting us disarm, grapple, reposition, shove, or trip creatures up to 2 sizes larger than us, or 3 sizes if we're legendary in athletics. Some of those Sentinels are pretty big, so this will help bring them down to our level. At 7th level, monks get Weapon Specialization. More damage equals bigger beams, and that's math that I can get behind. We also get our first Path to Perfection, boosting a save of our choice to Master Proficiency and treating all successes as critical successes. We're going with Will because Scott tends to date telepaths, and you need mental resistance if you want to win an argument with someone who knows your next point before you make it. For our general feat, Incredible Initiative gives us a +2 to all initiative rolls, so we can act first to rescue civilians or take down a threat before it has a chance to hurt the team. At 8th level, we'll get Advanced Key Spells to pick Key Blast. We can spend 1 to 3 actions to cast this spell. For a single action, it deals force damage to everything in a 15-foot cone, in addition to the effects of a basic Fortitude save. Creatures that fail are pushed back 5 feet or 10 feet on a critical failure. For every additional action we spend, both the area and the damage of the blast increases. We also pick up the Quick Climb skill feat, adding some verticality to our repertoire. When we climb, a success lets us move 5 extra feet. A critical success lets us move up to 10 extra feet, up to our normal speed, of course. Once we reach legendary proficiency in athletics, we get a climb speed equal to our land speed. Sure, Scott can't shoot adamantine pitons from his hands at a moment's notice, but he can make do. In fact, at 9th level, monks get Metal Strikes, making our unarmed attacks count as silver or cold iron for overcoming resistances. We also get Monk Expertise, increasing our class DC and spell DC to Expert, and the Solar Rejuvenation Ancestry feat. If we take 10 minutes to rest outdoors during the day, we regain hit points equal to our Constitution modifier multiplied by half our level, giving us a way to absorb ambient energy and turn it into combat potential. At 10th level, monks can get Knockback Strike, letting us spend 2 actions to make an unarmed attack. If an attack hits, we get a free shove attempt that uses the same multiple attack penalty and doesn't count against future multiple attack penalties. Many monk abilities are designed for close quarter combats, but with our mobility options and ranged unarmed attacks, keeping our enemies out of reach while still landing hits couldn't get much simpler. We'll also grab Quick Swim as our skill feat, letting us swim as fast as we climb. 11th level monks get their second path to perfection. This time, let's pick up reflex saves so we can dodge everything from lightning bolts to laser blasts. We also get Oxima's Awakening, giving us 2 cantrips and a 1st and 2nd rank spell from an arcane spell list. Perfect for using our optic blast in creative ways. Telekinetic Projectile is basically a higher damage, slightly less accurate optic blast. Phase Volt lets us bounce our blast around enemy cover, reducing the target's circumstance bonus to AC by 2. Kinetic Ram forgoes damage to focus on pushing foes. A targeted creature must make a Fortitude save or be pushed 10 feet, 20 feet on a critical failure. Using just 1 action targets 1 creature within 50 feet. 2 actions target a creature within 30 feet, doubling pushing distance, knocking the target prone on a critical failure, and dealing 1d6 bludgeoning damage. Spending 3 actions extends the effect to a 5-foot emanation, forcing all creatures within range to resist this force. Telekinetic Maneuver lets us use our Optic Blast to disarm, reposition, shove, or trip a target within 60 feet, using a spell attack instead of an athletics check. Improved Knockback at 12th level enhances our shove abilities. When we successfully shove a creature, the distance we push it, and the distance we can follow, increases by 5 feet on a success, or 10 feet on a critical failure. If the target collides with another creature or obstacle, both take 1d6 bludgeoning damage for every 5 feet of movement stopped. We'll also take the Intimidating Glare skill feat, letting us demoralize enemies without sharing a language. Many people are already afraid of you mutants, and the sunglasses certainly don't help. Level 13 monks get Graceful Mastery and Master Strikes for master proficiency in both our strikes and armor class. We also get the Bounce Back Ancestry feat, meaning once per day, when we lose the dying condition, we recover from dying without increasing our wounded conditioning. Being on the brink of death is an average Tuesday for the X-Men. You get used to it after a while. At level 14, we'll get a bit of teamwork with the Setup Strike feat through basic field training. We attempt to strike against an enemy, and if it lands, the target becomes off guard, leaving it vulnerable to the next attack any of our allies make against it before the start of our next turn. Setting Logan up with the perfect opener. Just don't expect him to be grateful. We also get the Shameless Request skill feat. When we request something, any DC increases for making outrageous requests are reduced by 2, and if we roll a critical failure on the request, it counts only as a failure. Go ahead, ask the Senator for top secret information. What's the worst that could happen? Level 15 monks get Greater Weapon Specialization for even more damage. And we get our third path to perfection, boosting our will saves to legendary proficiency, increasing any critically failed will saves to failures, and halving all damage we take from failed will saves. And finally, we take the Die Hard feat. This increases our maximum dying to 5 rather than dying 4. Between Toughness, Bounce Back, and Die Hard, you should pretty much guarantee that you live long enough to watch all your loved ones die. Yay you! 1mm Punch at level 16 upgrades our 1-inch punch. Now when we hit with 1-inch punch, the foe must make a Fortitude save. In a success, the target is pushed back 5 feet. On a failure, that distance doubles to 10 feet. And on a critical failure, the target is pushed back 10 feet for every action you spent on the 1-inch punch. Technically, this isn't a shove, so it doesn't work with improved knockback. But talk to your GM. They might let it work if you're nice enough and you show up on time to all your sessions with snacks. We also get a skill feat. Cloud Jump triples the distance we can long jump, as well as lets us use the long jump formula for our high jumps, though without the tripling. If you're going to be one of the few members of the team who can't fly, you might as well jump good. Level 17 monks get Adamantine Strikes and Graceful Legend, making our unarmed defense legendary, and treating our unarmed strikes as adamantine, meaning Logan better watch out next time he picks a fight. Heroic Presence gives us another boost to our leadership abilities. Now when we give an ally a command, we can give them temporary hit points and a bonus against fear effects, as per the spell Zealous Conviction. Level 18 gives us Diamond Fist, giving all our unarmed strikes the Deadly D8 and Forceful traits. This increases the damage we deal when we crit, and we get Legendary Negotiation skill feat. We channel the spirit of the X-Men, trying to appeal to the enemy's better nature instead of rushing into another brawl. We attempt to make an impression, and then immediately request that our opponent stand down and talk things out. Doing so imposes a -5 penalty to our diplomacy check. The DC is usually equal to the foe's will DC, though the GM may adjust it depending on the situation. Of course, some adversaries, like Magneto in one of his darker moods, simply can't or won't stop, and even those who agree to a parlay might eventually abandon words and return to the fight. The Numb to Death feat at level 19 means our time among the X-Men has hardened us against Death's pull. The first time each day that we regain hit points while at Death's Door, our mutant resilience kicks in, restoring additional hit points equal to our level, and ignoring the wounding condition entirely to stand tall without without death tightening its grip. We cap this level off with perfected form, ensuring our first attack each turn lands with unwavering precision. On the first strike we make each turn, if our d20 shows less than 10, we treat the result as a 10 instead, as our shot ricochets until it finds its target. And finally, at level 20, we get the Shattering Strike class feat. The focus power of our optic blast tear through barriers and defenses alike. When we unleash a strike, it bypasses the target's resistances, or if the target has hardness, we treat its value as half, as the raw precision of our blast overwhelms even the toughest armors and fortifications. And the Slippery Prey skill feat eliminates the multiple attack penalty that we would take from attempting to break free from a Sentinel's grasp multiple times in the same round. And that's it! Our Cyclops build is complete. From his optic blast to his unarmed strikes, leadership skills, and mutant resiliences, Scott is ready to lead the X-Men into any adventure Pathfinder or Starfinder throws his way. If you enjoyed this build, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more character creations, and let us know in the comments which hero or villain you'd like to see brought to life next. And until next time, keep rolling high, and I'll catch you in the next one.